Should we bring back hanging for the worst offences?
Well, I'm definitely not in favour of that at all. I think the worrying thing is how this issue is completely polarised by the media. I find that very quite worrying. I like the quote from the late Desmond Tutu, who said, "To take a life when a life has been lost is revenge and not justice." And I like to believe in the fact that we have got justice. I believe in that it's in society's interest to invest in the successful reintegration of offenders where possible. I believe that prison does protect the public from there, and I think that the death penalty, the history of the death penalty, is really dubious. If we look back at the history of 1950 with Timothy Evans, basically he was hung, and then the murderer basically confessed in 1953. That was wrong. If we look across the water to America, where they have the death penalty, the serious crimes like murder, etc., are higher in the States with the death penalty. There is no empirical evidence that the death penalty deters people from murder. So I don't support it in any way, shape or form.
Benjamin Loughnane, what's your view about the likes of this murderer who's going to spend 36 years in prison, probably at a cost to the taxpayer of between £20,000 and £30,000 a year?
Yeah, no, well, it's not necessarily hanging per se. It's the principle of the death penalty, the idea that the state should have that extreme level in the law for the worst possible cases. We're not talking about sentencing people to death for littering or minor offences here. We're talking about quite serious, awful crimes, people who show no remorse whatsoever, people who even express that they desire to go on and repeat their offences. The option is either they have life imprisonment at extraordinary expense to the taxpayer, or that we have some faculty within the law for those very extreme cases where we might, say, for example, Wayne Couzens is one of those situations where we might say there would be a lot of popular support for the death penalty in that particular circumstance. When you poll people, when you look at attitudes, people are generally against the death penalty as a principle. But when you ask them about a situation like Wayne Couzens, for example, when you say, should Wayne Couzens receive the death penalty, it flips the other side. People are very in favour of it. So the polling can be very fickle. When you present an actual solid circumstance, an actual case where someone has done something abhorrent, people are much more in favour of the death penalty in those circumstances. As a principle, people, I think, are quite abstract about it and say they're against it. But really, in the worst possible cases, it should be there.